Hi, good morning, everyone. Tengbo from Capital Dynamics again. It's a Saturday that has just seen the biggest international event Malaysia has ever conducted. Of course, I'm referring to the ASEAN Summit plus related meetings, and then a lot of by-the-side meetings, and the trade negotiation between Li Feng and Scott Bessent. So KL is back to the normal. Well, during that week, I was away. I was actually in Europe, and October is autumn. I love the colors of autumn. I visited 4 European cities. The winner among the 4 cities will surprise you. It surprised me. And what I'm sharing with you is probably what the pamphlets, what the brochures, what the travel agent, what the website don't tell you about Europe. So 9 days and nights in 4 cities. Of course, it's tiring, very tiring. And traveling in England and Europe is not the most efficient, unlike the transport system in China, for example. So what is it that I love about autumn? The colors, the vibrant colors, the richness of the colors. As you can see, the autumn leaves in London, Liverpool, Stockholm, and Munich. Well, these are basically yellowish, brownish, orangey, but there's some which are red in color and so on. And if you are able to see it physically, and especially when the weather, the climate is comfortable, you feel alive. You feel very fresh, even though there's a bit of melancholy to the entire atmosphere. Nevertheless, my first stop was London. I had to attend investment forum, which lasted about 6 hours, and it was my first stop. For those of you who have been to London, you know what it is like. Or for those of you who have not been to London, the London of 2025 is not like the London that you see in postcards. And of course, I landed at Terminal 2, which is known as the Queen's Terminal. It's modern, it's pretty good. But when you go beyond that, when you go into the city, then you'll find London is, for the first timer, probably rather disappointing. For those of you who have been many times, you know what to expect. Migrant workers are common everywhere. And many of the streets don't smell pleasant. You're not even sure what the smell is. And even along Piccadilly, there are homeless people. And what was quite surprising to me was London had a lot of construction sites. Pretty bad, almost about the same as KL. Everywhere, construction. And then I went to Waterstones. It's the largest bookshop in UK, the largest bookshop in Europe. I was hoping to get books that I couldn't get in KL. But instead, I was pretty disappointed. This is their largest outlet in Piccadilly. Just to share with you, inside Waterstones, they have 4 columns of books just on Shakespeare. And because I was looking for reading materials on semiconductors or semiconductor-related engineering, I thought, this is London, a world city, and in the biggest bookshop, I should get better selections than back in KL. I was disappointed. There was only 1 column for physics and engineering, compared with 4 columns for Shakespeare. And in this 1 column, physics had to share engineering. And the sales assistant was so apologetic that he says he really couldn't find any book on engineering. Does that tell you why UK, for example, is lagging behind in terms of STEM, in terms of semiconductor? Maybe, because very often I judge the quality of a city by the bookshops that they have. Generally, I find that if let's say you go to Bangkok or Jakarta or Manila, It's very hard to find a good bookshop. But KL Singapore, we have pretty good choices. Of course, Beijing, Shanghai, many of them. From London, I took a train to Liverpool, and the station was from Euston. It was the northwestern direction. And when you arrive at Liverpool, the change was immediate. You can feel it pretty immediately. Well, to be honest, maybe after a while, when I got out further away from the Liverpool railway station, then you could sense a pretty major change in both cities. The train from London to Liverpool, way better than our ETS, more frequency, faster, but way below what I can get in the high-speed rail in China. And if you were to ask, why didn't I take a flight from London to Liverpool? Well, that would be horrible. That would be a very long journey instead, because the flights between London and Liverpool are very, very few. If you were to drive, well, if there's no jam, it's a pretty time-consuming journey. When you go to Liverpool, what comes to the mind of most people is, of course, Liverpool Football Club. It's famous for that. Or the Beatles, right? These are the two iconic attractions of Liverpool. But there's a lot more to Liverpool, as I discovered. I was in Liverpool because I was invited by University of Liverpool, the management school, to give a talk. So besides the Liverpool Football Club, you got the Liverpool University. It's pretty large, 30,000 students. Campus, very big and impressive, well maintained and impressive. So I gave a talk, and then after that, I sort of took my time to explore the city, because I've never been to Liverpool before. Even though I studied in UK, it never really interested me to go to Liverpool, because my impression was, well, it's a industrial city, decaying and probably gloomy, that kind of expectation. But Liverpool has got a fair bit of history which is different from other cities, especially during the Industrial Revolution, because Liverpool is a port and it became one of the powerhouses of the British Empire, where global trade, export-import, were conducted from Liverpool to the rest of the world. They have maintained part of the port called the Albert Dock. They maintain it, and well, it is a pretty big dock. But if you go there at this moment in time, you get to see a lot of cafes and so on, because the International Slavery Museum is under renovation. I wanted to go there because what is interesting about Liverpool is that the English criminals, the British criminals, where the government wanted to send them away to Australia, they departed from the Liverpool port. So I think maybe I could ask some of my Australian friends, whether their ancestors departed from the port in Liverpool. And it's got a rich history. There's a Liverpool Museum, which has got, if you're interested in certain facets of the Industrial Revolution, where you can see the old train and so on, then the Liverpool Museum, it's quite an eye-opener. Of course, I hope the International Slavery Museum will be open sometime in the future, and I will have the chance to go back and see what it is like for myself. So this is the Albert Dock. It faces on the left side is the dock itself. On the right side is facing the Mersey River. It's very windy and refreshing because there's nothing blocking it, and there's no steamship and so on, so you can feel the freshness of the air. So this is where the museum is. It talks a lot because at that time, London Port was the busiest. Liverpool Port was the second busiest after London. This is also the same about Liverpool as a port during the last 1-2 centuries ago. The other interesting about Liverpool, which was very different from what I expected, was The streets were wider and much cleaner than London. Traffic was a lot more organized. The whole atmosphere in Liverpool was that you can breathe. And what really surprised me was when I went to buy something in John Lewis. John Lewis is a famous departmental store in UK. During the time when I was there in the early 70s, John Lewis was like at the lower end, and it was even probably lower than your Marks and Spencers or your Debenham and so on. So when I went there, I thought, well, I didn't have much expectation. But when I went in and walked around John Lewis, it really surprised me in a very pleasant manner. It was modern, exciting, and I wouldn't expect such a dynamic departmental store in an old city like Liverpool. So overall, Liverpool is not a bad place. I mean, if I were to, let's say, decide to live and choose between Liverpool and London, I'll probably choose Liverpool. Only thing is that, well, not the only, a major drawback is that the Liverpool airport is not international. So if you want to have flights to different parts of the world in Europe, you have to go to Manchester Airport, which is about, depending on traffic, about 45 minutes to an hour away from Liverpool. So because I was going from Liverpool to Stockholm, and the flights from Manchester Airport to Stockholm were much, much better. So Manchester Airport, it's quite international, but don't expect too much of it. We didn't have any dinner, so we thought, well, Manchester Airport should have pretty good eateries. Unfortunately, no. We were trying to look for eateries before we checked in, and the only two places that we could get, one was Starbucks, but there's nothing to eat. There's just some pastries, light snacks, and the other one was KFC. That's all that they have. Then I went to Stockholm first, and Stockholm I went to Munich. Munich, it is a pretty large city. It's about 2.5, 3 million people. The buildings, it's a mixture. The older buildings, some of them were not maintained on the outside. And of course, there are some buildings that are modern. But overall, the mood of Munich is that efficient, but rather joyless. Still, Munich is one of Europe's major industrial city. A lot of important German industrial companies, manufacturing companies, have headquarters either in Munich or around that particular area. So this is, I was walking down from my hotel, and this is around sunset, and you could see the beautiful sky. And opposite this hotel is a pretty long pedestrian mall where you have, I think the pedestrian lane was easily 2 to 3 kilometers long, and along that you have many retail outlets, including pretty decent departmental stores which are found in Germany. So, okay, it's crowded, vibrant, a lot of people, but nothing unique, nothing special about it. Then I went to Stockholm from Liverpool. We took a taxi from the Arlanda Airport, Stockholm, to the city center. The taxi fare was 745 Swedish kroners, or about 340 ringgit. The journey was about 45 minutes, right? And if you don't like to pay so much for a taxi, you can take the Arlanda Express. That's only 18 minutes, and I think that's less than half the price of the taxi. It's just that I had many bags and was a bit troublesome to take the train. I thought easier to take a taxi. Stockholm is relatively expensive, but still, I like the city. In fact, I would say that I love the city. And the people in the city is clean. The city is clean, efficient, spacious. There are hardly any skyscrapers. It's a skyline where you feel you can breathe. The same thing could be applied to Liverpool, but Liverpool is a lot smaller. Stockholm, if you include the metropolitan area, is about 2+ million people as well, but it's spacious. Munich has got somewhat more skyscrapers, London somewhat more, but generally, these European cities have a lot less skyscrapers than our crazy Kuala Lumpur. If Stockholm was to have the same ratio of skyscrapers to the people that Kia has, I think Stockholm would be a horrible city to stay, to work, or to visit. But instead, you get a city where you, even though I'm there only for a few days, you feel at home almost immediately. And Stockholm is unique because it is built on 14 islands. So it's surrounded by a lot of waterways. And the waterways, they're all clean, no smell. The Swedish people are friendly, helpful. They don't show off. They don't shout. They're not patronizing. What I find very interesting is they love the children. There are a lot of young children, children maybe 3, 4, 5 years old, and they love dogs. You can see them everywhere, in the parks, in restaurants, and even shops. I mean, both children and the dogs. So it's, of all the 4 cities that I visited on this trip, it really stands out. And of course, the genuine warmth of the people. English is very commonly spoken in Stockholm, unlike Munich. And when I experienced the friendliness of the Swedish people, whether young or old, women or guys, I remember Bandung, because the people in Bandung were incredibly friendly, even strangers on the streets. The same thing in Sweden. And the other thing that I noticed is that they're not big size. They're not like the Americans. Whether it's a guy or a girl, you find that out of say 100 guys, 100 girls, maybe only 2 or 3 of them are oversized. The rest of them, most of their sizes are very typically Asian. And most of them have got good shape. I mean, good shape in the sense that not like, say, for example, in America where they show you all their bulky muscles and all those things. You don't get that. And if you look at what they eat, you understand. And you look at their daily lives. The pavements are clean, white. Cars don't park on the pavements. You don't have cafes having their tables blocking the pavements, or you don't have streets where you cannot find the pavements. So it's clearly marked, well-maintained, clean, and people love to walk. Bicycle lanes are plentiful, well-maintained, and in that 3 days, I was in Stockholm for 3 days. In that 3 days, the number of people I saw cycling everywhere in the city is probably equivalent to the number of people I see cycling in KL over a 5-10 year period. Healthy food, they have a lot of fish, a lot of variety of fish, halibut, cod, I don't know, some of them fish I've never heard of before, a lot of seafood, and not that much of a meat. So with healthy diet, healthy lifestyle, and it's pretty hard to find McDonald's, unlike London, or KL, everywhere you go is McDonald's. In Sweden, we managed to only see, I think, at the most 1 or 2 McDonald's, and we walk a lot in Stockholm. So, good lifestyle, and of course, you find that they live longer. This is one of the streets in Stockholm, and there's no dog shit on the street, even though there are many dogs everywhere. On the left is a modern shopping center in Stockholm. Nice atmosphere, lovely atmosphere. That evening when we were there, they had some live opera singers. There were 2 of them, one lady, one guy, singing some Italian opera songs. And then on the right is one of the brands from Sweden. Haglof is one of the famous brands. And this is Sweden's version of chap fan. It is really their mixed rice. You go there, it's like what we instead of having a lot of open trays where you can pick yourself, well, they have something like a buffet line, and then you can go there and pick. The one on the left is fish, and you can see 2 tiny meatballs, a bit of rice, and the rest is veggie. And of course, there's coffee. So you find that the diet is balanced. It's almost, I feel when I go to Stockholm, when I interact with them, walk around, shop around, eat the food, I feel as if I'm more in like a city in China. It's a very civilized place. So my choice of all the 4 cities I've been, the winner is Stockholm. I went in autumn, the temperature, the weather was about low of 2 to 3 degrees, high of about 8 or 9, but I wore a long sleeve, I wore a typical jacket and then an overcoat. That was good enough. It was very comfortable. I would definitely want to go back to Stockholm, maybe in summer, so I can drive around. Oh, by the way, they drive on the left-hand side. Germany also drives on the left-hand side, as opposed to us on the right-hand side. So if I can, I was told that if you go in summer, because the summer is short, the strawberry is extra sweet during that time. Generally, I'm not a strawberry fan because the strawberries that we get here are usually on the sour side and quite tasteless, but I was told that I must try the strawberry in summer. And the other food item that we tried was langostini. It's a type of crayfish found in that area. It's pretty small and it's curled out like that. Actually, it was quite interesting because I didn't really know how to eat it, but the waitress was very friendly. She said, look, you can use your hand and tear it and eat it. That was really reassuring. The taste of langostini is not like a prawn, it's not like a crab, it's not like a lobster, it's on its own. So that you must try. And of course, the Swedish love this habit of fika. Fika means having tea breaks, either in the afternoon where they just sit down and have a break and relax. And it is like a part of their daily lives. So the philosophy behind the way people live in Stockholm, I think is very matured, very attractive. Don't get me wrong. They're hardworking, they work hard, but they don't work hard to the extent that they stress themselves or stress other people. So I think it's a pretty good balance. And there was the ex-Prime Minister of Sweden, 75 years old, who gave a talk recently in the EPF, one of the EPF seminars. He said governments, including the government in Sweden, they should reinvent, they should re-examine retirement age and let people retire only at 75 years old. Can you imagine a country like Sweden, which is so much richer, so much more developed, wants to retire at 75, and here in Malaysia, people want to retire at 55. I mean, look, it's not a perfect place, it's not a perfect society, but it appears to me that Stockholm, as representing Sweden, has done a lot of things correct. And I think we should learn. We meaning the Malaysian government, our DBKL, because their city, Sweden has got so many parks, small parks, big parks, so many parks, all well maintained. KL has got so many skyscrapers, all blocking, creating traffic jams. Something has gone wrong with our approach. I mean, look, we can still make amends. So, for you, our audience, take a trip. Don't go to Tokyo, Seoul, the usual place, London, same old place. And then you get the same mindset. And especially nowadays, in Japan, if you're Chinese, you quite often are treated pretty badly. In fact, there was a incident about a few days ago where 2 young Chinese female tourists were chased out from a Japanese restaurant because the restaurant owner told them that they were not dressed appropriately. Well, if I can show you the photo, the 2 young female Chinese tourists were just wearing the sports dress, but they were chased out. In Stockholm, I feel that there's a lot of mutual respect. So take something that's different. Flying there is a bit troublesome because there's no direct flight. You got to go through Frankfurt or Munich or even London or Rome, something like that, but it is worth it. And of course, be prepared, spend a little bit more. Yeah? But there are a lot of things, a lot of leisure activities that you can do in Stockholm that doesn't cost you a single cent. I walk a lot. I walk by the waterways, I walk by the parks, I walk to the shopping places, and you get to enjoy a lot of things for free. So I think there is a lot of wisdom in that. So next holiday, please go to Stockholm. And I was told that their port city, Gothenburg, is also nice, and the third largest city, Malmo, is also nice. I don't know. Maybe I'll go there the next time. So before I forget, don't remember to like our YouTube channel, to share, because very few people in 2019, that's the last data that is available. There are only 20,000 Malaysians who visited Stockholm. 20,000 in 2019. I'm sure, because of pandemic, I'm sure the figures now are even lower than 20,000. So be the brave ones. Go there. At least when you meet your friends, you can talk to them about places where it's different, where it's better. So share our YouTube channel, like it, and if you have not subscribed, please subscribe, because the topics that we talk about, the range of topics is very wide and it caters to all kinds of audience. With that, have a good weekend and stay safe.